I don't know if you noticed, but in December, Netflix released a trailer for a show based on the 2000s cartoon Winx Club, and the reaction was interesting to say the least. I don't typically talk about shows on this channel, and that's primarily because I have commitment issues and never finish them, but after seeing the trailer for Fate the Winx Saga, I felt like I had to make a video. As a kid with no cable growing up, all I had access to was PBS Kids, but thanks to Saturday cartoons, I could occasionally watch several mainstream cartoons and shows, one of them being Winx Club.
And now, back to the Winx Club.
Hey, thanks for picking me! Before each of my favorite shows, I'll reveal a part of the 4Kids $4,000 fortune formula. Be sure to write it down. Here's the first part. And here's my first pick, and it's only on 4Kids TV. These girls were already super famous, even before they had their own show. It's good to be brats.
To me, Winx was special. It was colorful and magical and nothing like the shows on PBS. Needless to say, it was something that I really, truly enjoyed and admired as a kid. So you can imagine how upset I was by Netflix's recent venture. It's the same feeling my sister felt after first seeing Riverdale because she spent her elementary years poring over Archie comics, and the same feeling we felt after seeing Netflix's Sabrina reboot after loving the original show and cartoon so much. The thing is, this show has a plethora of issues, from costuming to whitewashing, but I think it indicates an interesting trend over the last 3 years, and that's the death of teen dramas. Teen shows of the 2010s. I think we can all name one show we were obsessed with as teenagers. There was no shortage of shows that targeted teens in the 2000s and 2010s. There were a few that were quite honestly before my time, like The OC and Gilmore Girls, and then there are shows that I'm more familiar with, like Pretty Little Liars, Teen Wolf, and Gossip Girl. To me, teen dramas should not only have a targeted demographic of teenagers, but also follow the lives of teen characters. No matter how wild the plots could be at times, relatable themes were always present. These characters often had to learn how to balance their home lives, their friends, their education, although that was rarely discussed, and whatever wacky plot lines the writers decided to throw at them. It didn't matter if they were dealing with supernatural creatures or psycho stalkers. Themes of friendship and love were pretty much always laced in somehow. These shows were always far from realistic. Many of the actors didn't look remotely like teenagers. They always glimpsed over schoolwork and college prep. And I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like they always got away with everything. To put it simply, these shows were definitely not based in reality, but then again, none of us cared. High schoolers were running around committing full-blown murders, and we were eating it up. In 2014, realism didn't matter to us. Personally, I enjoyed watching teenagers in these completely ridiculous situations. It was fun, and nothing like my life. Why so serious? To be completely honest, I understand that teen shows are completely dead. The volume of these shows has definitely decreased, and as far as recent shows go, I simply pretend that they don't exist. A great example of a recent teen drama is Riverdale. Although I've never gotten past the first season, a few years ago I had a friend in econ try to explain the plotlines of the later seasons, and I just felt incredibly lost. However, that isn't even an issue to me. I think Riverdale is a crazy show for one that's supposed to be based in reality, unlike Teen Wolf or The Vampire Diaries, which are kind of justifiable. But one could argue that Pretty Little Liars has the same chaotic energy as Riverdale does now. My main qualm with Riverdale is the lack of effort. I feel like the first season had potential, but the general atmosphere and lack of direction in the later seasons was a big turnoff. I feel like Riverdale and other recent teen shows might take themselves too seriously.
In case you haven't noticed, I'm weird. I'm a weirdo. I don't fit in, and I don't want to fit in.
However, I will admit that Riverdale has also fallen victim to the bandwagon of hate that any object of teen girl obsession often does. I'm sure there are people out there that dislike Teen Wolf and Glee for the same reasons we dislike Riverdale, but we tend to forget that due to the rose-tinted glasses of nostalgia. How does Winx fit into this? You may be wondering how the Winx Club fits into all of this. Well, as you probably already know, in the past few years, Hollywood has had this fascination with taking children's content and then aging it up to create poor excuses for teen content. Winx has fallen victim to this latest trend. It's like they took the cartoon and stripped away all of the things that made it memorable. If Winx wasn't in the title of the trailer, I would have thought it was a completely different show. At this point, it feels like Netflix is using the Winx label to get more people to watch and talk about the show. Or possibly, this is what they genuinely believe we want to see. And if that's the case, no, this isn't what we want at all. The thing is, I didn't want a teen reboot of Winx Club to exist in the first place. And if it did, I wish they had preserved the things that made it so wonderful. Despite the fact that the show debuted in 2005, it had not only a black character, but also included Asian and Hispanic representation as well. How could that exist in 2005 and not 2021? It makes no sense.
So I am confusion. Why is this one Kansas, but this one is not Arkansas? America, explain! Explain! What do you mean in Arkansas?
Not only that, but Winx was known for its fashion. Each of the main characters was based on the stars of the early 2000s, such as Britney Spears, Beyoncé, J-Lo, Pink, Lucy Liu, and Cameron Diaz. And each character had really dynamic, colorful fashion senses. Thanks to the cyclical pattern of fashion, Y2K is back in style, and it was the perfect chance for fun and fashionable looks, but instead, we got this. Even if the show is targeted towards teens, we still care about costume design. I know that adapting anything that many people have deep nostalgic feelings for can be a big risk, but I feel like this show took no risks at all. Instead of using the costume design as a creative outlet, narrative device, or even just a chance to turn out some really cute looks, it feels like a Riverdale cash grab instead, which is incredibly disheartening for all of us who loved the show so much. Is this kind of our fault? This recent trend of unoriginal, dark, and serious reboots is something that I pretty much never wanted. However, it is something that I'm sure some people enjoy. I can't help but ask if this is our fault. At the end of the day, the entertainment industry is a business. They invest in projects they will get a return on. Most of the time, at least. I definitely think there is a chance that production companies and streaming platforms are creating these reboots because they garner attention, and attention leads to views, which leads to profit. So, are we getting all of these reboots because we fail to watch original content? And more importantly, is our fixation on hate watching these shows leading to the downfall and cancellation of shows that actually deserve positive attention? The future of the teen genre. I think the future of this genre isn't necessarily clear. I believe that there will always be content pushed towards teenagers because teen consumers have been an important part of the market for decades. Marketers specifically study and target teenagers because they are aware of our newfound independence and spending habits. That means the teen genre isn't going anywhere anytime soon. But what has changed is our interests and the way we consume content. Thanks to streaming platforms, teenagers have access to a diverse array of content. We don't just watch shows targeted to teens anymore, but rather watch whatever we want. So slowly but surely, teenagers are becoming less and less of a defined and predictable demographic. Maybe it's because we have more content to watch, or maybe it's because we spend more time on social media platforms than we do watching actual shows. But what I do know is that thanks to many of the great shows we do consume, we have higher standards than this. So, what are your predictions for the future of this genre? And what are your opinions on the Winx reboot? As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.